good afternoon. Thank you for joining me for our regular Friday Lunch and Learn. Now today we're going to talk about sleep, and sleep is very difficult for some people. It's very easy for other people, but sleep has a lot of different benefits. And as I told you last week, we've been bringing red light therapy into the clinic, and part of the reason we're doing that is because of sleep. We want you to have good sleep. Now, just full disclosure, okay, my late husband used to say that sleep was my spiritual gift. He was from England. He worked here in the United States, and he worked in the UK. And so we were on the go for quite a few years, coming and going, and, you know, jet lag and all that kind of thing. Well, you could just lay me down, right? You could lay me down, prop me up somewhere, and I could fall asleep anywhere. And he used to say that sleep was my spiritual gift. Now, I took sleep for granted, all right? And a few years ago, my mother was diagnosed with cancer, and so she had to go through a lot of medical procedures. We almost lost her, and it was so traumatic for me that I became an insomniac, which is like crazy because the pendulum swung from can go to sleep anytime, anywhere, as long as I needed, to I can't go to sleep at all, and all that kind of happened. When my husband died, I didn't want to go to bed because I was by myself, and I would stay up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning regularly because I didn't want to go to bed. And so there's this sleep procrastination that you don't have to be traumatized to do that. That's something that a lot of people do. It's in the literature that I was reading about, and I can attest that that happens. But you can change your neurochemistry so that you are able to sleep. Now, a lot of people think that if you just supplement with melatonin that you're going to be able to sleep. And sadly, I think that melatonin is overused. I don't think it is my first go-to for a sleep aid. You may disagree with me, and that's fine. I want to show you this chart, and no, you can't read it, and I really can't read it either. Okay, but just kind of look at the colors. The green are the precursors to your neurotransmitters, and your neurotransmitters are pink. Pink is what color your neurotransmitters are. And so you've got to start up here with your flavonoids, and then through the digestive, the enzyme, and all that, you come down where you've got your neurotransmitters here, and then you've got some of the metabolites over here. Guess what's not on this chart? Melatonin. Just gonna tell you that, melatonin. Melatonin is part of, or it is derived from serotonin. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter that is up there, and so if you're having trouble sleeping, it's probably because of the whole neurotransmitter cascade. So I like to say when you supplement with melatonin, you're feeding the bottom of the food chain, whereas if you supplemented with GABA, you would be at the top of the food chain. That's not quite right exactly, so some of you out there with, you know, biochemical degrees don't like yell at me, but if your GABA is intact, your GABA, preformed GABA, can cross the blood-brain barrier. That's what your medication Ambien is, okay? It works like that. There used to be a product that we could get called Phenibut, Phenebut, I think it is. It was a preformed GABA, and it worked just like Ambien did, but you didn't have the side effects, right? Well, about 2 years ago, the FDA took it off the market. Now, as I was doing my research this week, I found that you can still get it. You can get it as a chemical. You cannot get it in a health food store anymore. So I don't have any reputable suppliers. I was told that it was outlawed in the United States, and when I went and did research for this week, I found out that no, my goodness, you can still get it, but you have to buy it at a chemical store. You can't buy it at a health food store. And so what I need to do is I need to find a reputable supplier, and then we can kind of move forward with that. However, what I want to tell you is that sleep is very, very important. There are things that you can do. Red light therapy will help you do this. I've got tons of stuff on my desk that we went through this week, and so hopefully this will be able to give you what you need, give you some information that you need. And most people just think that sleep, when they go to sleep, that they, and you'll hear this, I just need for my brain to turn off so that I can go to sleep. Believe it or not, your brain is very, very active in your sleep. And so this is a really important topic here. Cardiovascular disease is linked to poor sleep. There is a sweet spot of more than 6 hours, but less than 9 hours. So if you sleep less than 6 hours a night, you're going to be more prone to cardiovascular events. If you sleep more than 9 hours, you're going to be more prone to cardiovascular events. So this is really, really important. And we're getting so many people that are coming to us with sleep disorders. And it is like, oh, okay, the world is telling me that we've got these problems, and so we need to find an answer to that. Now, we do have supplements here in the clinic. We do, and they do work for most people. So after my mom got sick, right, and I was not able to sleep, I didn't even try to sleep when my husband died. Didn't even want to go to sleep. Didn't want to go to bed, didn't want to go to sleep. And that was a really horrible, horrible time in my life. When my mom got sick and I was not able to sleep, I searched high and low for different supplements. And I did take the Phenibut, and it worked amazing, and I loved it, and I was getting my sleep, and then they took it off the market. So I was taking 4 supplements. I was taking CBD, I was taking 3 other supplements that were very, very good, but just nothing was strong enough to get my brain to get into the sleep mode, right? Oh, about a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, our CBD company came out with nano jellies, and now I'm only taking a quarter of the nano jellies, and I'm doing great. So we've got all these supplements for you, but there are some people that have tried everything, and I have worked with a lady. I will tell you, I've worked with a lady since 2009, and we still can't get her sleeping the way she needs to be. Now, she is better. Things are better. Most people, I can get them to sleep, but there are some people that are just stubborn and won't work with me. No, I'm just kidding. They do work with me. So we're bringing in this red light therapy because I can tell, let me kind of back up a little bit. You have a central nervous system. And guys, bear with me if I start to sound like Charlie Brown's teacher. I don't want it to sound like that, you know, rah, 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 rah. I want you to be able to understand what I'm saying, but I also want you to be able to understand what's going on with your sleep. So we've got a central nervous system, and that is divided into a sympathetic nervous system and a parasympathetic nervous system. We want to stay in parasympathetic mode because that is your rest and relaxation. Unfortunately, the whole world's gone crazy, right? And so shutdowns, and you can't go to work, and you can't go to school, and you can't breathe, and all these kind of things has put everybody in sympathetic mode, fight or flight mode, and so we're having trouble calming down and resting. So when that happens, your brain waves get messed up. When I tried for the very first time, and I am stubborn, my body is stubborn, but when I tried this red light therapy for the very first time, I could actually feel my body shift from sympathetic dominance to parasympathetic dominance. You have to be in parasympathetic dominance in order to go to sleep. So I know that this works. I know firsthand, if I can feel it, everybody's going to be able to feel it. So trust me, we're doing our research here, and I would not bring something to you that I did not know was working, okay? So this article, and I've got several articles on my desk, so you'll be seeing me pushing papers and that kind of thing, so bear with me. But the RAND Research Group just came out with a 100-page analysis of how sleep affects us and what sleep deprivation does to us and to the economy. They estimate that between the loss of work and poor performance at work from lack of sleep, the United States alone loses $411 billion of productivity every year. That's a lot of dollars down the drain because we are not able to sleep. Though businesses and policymakers may be interested in the financial repercussions of sleep deprivation, these repercussions stem from people being unwell because of it. This underlines every consequence of sleep deprivation. Now, you might say, oh, I stayed up too late last night, I'm going to sleep late in the morning, I'll catch up. And it just doesn't work that way. I can't remember the exact ratio, but your sleep, your quality of sleep, has to do with how many REM cycles you go through. So when you stay up late and you deprive yourself of all of those REM cycles, then it takes several consecutive nights of good REM cycles in order for you to catch up. It's complicated. Sleep is complicated, all right? So one of the central functions of sleep is that it helps consolidate long-term memory. And it seems to do this not only by strengthening certain neural connections, but also through pruning back unwanted ones. Now, if you've done any research on brain chemistry, hopefully you have found Dr. Caroline Leaf. Dr. Caroline Leaf is a brain specialist. I think she's a medical doctor from South Africa, and she talks about how through sleep you prune the bad memories, the bad trauma, and all that kind of stuff from your brain so that your brain can be healthy. So if you have not read her material, you really need to read it. It's called Detoxify My Brain, or Who Turned Off My Brain. She's got several different things. She's got an app. I highly recommend her. She's very, very sound. The brain makes a lot of connections during the day, but not all of them are worth saving. So sleep is the time that the brain streamlines the connections that it needs. So that's one thing that you need to know. One of the most illuminating discoveries in the last few years is that the brain clears out toxins much more rapidly while we are asleep than when we are awake. Now, what are toxins in the brain? Well, they can be bad thoughts. Thoughts are things. You might think that a thought is not a thing, but a thought is a thing, okay? You need to get that in your brain. A thought is a thing. So when we sleep, we decompress. We give the body the permission to get rid of the things that no longer serve us, all right? If you have fillings in your mouth, if you've had a root canal, if you've got any kind of silver, they're not really silver, if you've got any kind of those fillings, now they're not doing it so much right now, but they have done it in the past. If you have any of that in your mouth, you will be, when you grind your teeth, when you chew, when you drink hot coffee, hot tea, that kind of thing, you're releasing mercury vapor up into the brain. That is a toxicity. If you have had a lot of injections, the injections have thimerosal in them, they've got formaldehyde in them, those things cross the blood-brain barrier, and guess what? They get in the brain. So the brain wants to detoxify. The brain wants to get rid of what it needs to get rid of. This is a quote from Michael Thorpe, who is the director of the Sleep-Wake Disorder Center at Montefiore Health System, and he is a professor of clinical neurology at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine. He says, I think one of the most exciting works is on the glymphatic system. This is in the brain, all right? There's a lot of research in this area in the last few years. The glymphatic system, which is your lymphatic system in the brain, opens up at night and removes toxins while we are asleep. The space between the brain cells expands significantly during sleep, which facilitates the clearing out of the gunk through the cerebrospinal fluid. Perhaps the most astonishing thing is that most of this gunk is beta amyloid protein. Now, if you've done any research at all, you know that beta amyloid protein is what happens with Alzheimer's patients. So if we sleep, the lymphatics open up, the spaces open up, we're able to clear that out, then our incidence of Alzheimer's should be reduced, right? So let me back up a little bit and tell you about your lymphatic system. You might not know what that is. Your lymphatic system is the vacuum cleaner of the body, all right? It is clear fluid. It looks like water. It's very, very thin. It has the ability to go into the cells, take out the metabolic debris. It goes through your lymph nodes, inside your lymph nodes are Pac-Man-like creatures that eat up all the nasty that's in there. We all have it. We all have that nasty because we live and breathe and do all this thing. Nobody lives in the Garden of Eden. So thank God we've got a lymphatic system. Well, in the brain, it's called the glymphatic system. So we have a formula here. If that's a problem for you, if you've had a traumatic brain injury, some people say that vaginal birth is a traumatic brain injury, okay? But if you have had a concussion, if you've had a car wreck, if you've fallen and hit your head, you probably have a TBI in there. This formula will open up those spaces and will get that lymphatic fluid moving so it can detoxify the brain. So we've got help for you if that's something that you need, okay? We want the proteins, those beta amyloid proteins and other toxins seem to accumulate during the day and are cleaned out during sleep. This is incredible and why you absolutely need to keep your sleep going in the right direction, all right? Sleep loss and depression are intertwined. People with insomnia are many more times likely to have depression and anxiety. Part of the explanation for these connections may come from the fact that the part of the brain that governs the circadian rhythm, that's your sleep-wake cycle, and all the bodily functions that depend on it is disrupted in depressed people, which may partly explain why depression and sleep problems go hand in hand. Now, not every person that has insomnia is depressed. I'm not saying that. That is not what I'm saying. When you have your circadian cycle messed up, and you do this by trauma, right? All of us have trauma to one degree or another. You can Google circadian rhythms. You can look up traditional Chinese medicine. They've got charts on your circadian rhythms, and the circadian rhythms is what systems of the body detox at certain times. It's also your sleep-wake cycle. We don't have a sleep cycle because the sun is gone and we just don't need to work anymore. No, we have a sleep cycle because the body needs to do what the body needs to do, right? And we can only do that detoxification when we are sleeping, so we need to do that. There's a new study that came out in the Radiological Society of North America annual conference, and it found that when health professionals, in this case radiologists, when they got an average of only 3 hours of sleep during a 24-hour shift, their heart suffers from it. The participants had increases in contractility of the heart, blood pressure, cardiac rate, heart rate, levels of thyroid hormone and stress hormone cortisol were all elevated. Other studies have linked the lack of sleep with being overweight, obesity, poor glucose control, which means you would have a higher incidence of being a diabetic. And still other studies have linked poor sleep to mortality in adults. Making sure I'm on the right page, okay? Research shows that sleep isn't a luxury, sleep is a necessity, all right? So, healthy sleep cuts your risk of cardiovascular events. So, we've got some data here, new findings, right? This came out in March of this year, 2021, all right? It says that healthy sleep dramatically improves your health and longevity, including a 42% lower incidence of cardiac-related incidents, heart attack, stroke, all that kind of stuff. So that's almost 50%, 42%, right? That is a huge, huge benefit of being able to sleep. 7 to 9 hours of sleep, little or no insomnia, no snoring, no early bird rising, little to no daytime sleepiness. That is what you're aiming for a good heart protective sleep. All right. Researchers from the United States looked at data from 408,902 UK participants. So it's a United States study, but UK people, all right? The participants were aged 37 to 73. I like how that's, just reversed there, right? I don't know if that was intentional or that's just what happened. Those with the healthiest sleep patterns had 42% lower risk of heart failure overall. Heart failure risks decreased in early risers by 8%, so waking up too early is not a good idea, okay? I know some people get up early. I really don't want you getting up before 5 o'clock. I really don't want you getting up before 6, but their circadian rhythms want you to go to sleep when the sun goes down, get up when the sun gets up. Nobody does that. Just throwing that out there. Nobody does that. But if you are an early riser, you are decreasing your heart health, okay, by 8%. Another meta-analysis, and this was almost 500,000 people, found that sleeping fewer than 6 hours or more than 8 hours was tied to higher risk of developing and dying from coronary heart disease and stroke. Those who slept more than 8 hours also had a higher total cardiac disease risk. So we would say that would be AFib, that would be congestive heart failure. I was trying to remember what those letters stand for. So those kind of things. So you don't want to be oversleeping either. Napping. Now this is important. Napping. Now I like my nap on the weekend. I'm just going to throw that out there. I like my nap between church on Sunday and on Saturday. I'll take a nap. I think that's very restorative for me. We work hard. I'm up every morning by 6 o'clock at the very latest. We start early on Fridays, so on Fridays I get up at 5:30. So that's, it's not early, but it's still earlier than I'm used to. And so I like to take a nap on the weekend to kind of recover from that, right? So if you nap, you don't want to be napping more than about 40 minutes. And so I heard, or actually my husband heard, a pharmacist say that if you consistently take naps of more than an hour, then you are in a poor metabolic state and you are opening yourself, or you are dealing with a metabolic disease. Now, I don't want to really get into disease terminologies, but you can Google metabolic diseases and you can find out for yourself what that entails. So a 20-minute nap is a great rest, recharge. We call them power naps, we call them cat naps. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that if you want to do that every day. What I'm not okay with, and what is not beneficial to your heart, is napping for longer than an hour, okay, on days. So we don't want to do that. So I'm going to put in the comments some information here so that you can look at it. What can we do to help us with our sleep? We can do acupressure. There are different acupressure points on your body that you can manipulate with your hands. Your partner can massage those points and it will help induce sleep. You can do aromatherapy. Almost everybody knows that lavender oil or a blend, we do a blend of lavender and other things that help us to sleep. Melatonin, as we talked about, and like I said, I'm not such a fan of melatonin for that. Yoga, exercise, and relaxation and meditation. I do want to talk about that. Eliminating blue lights. I do want to talk about that because I have some research here with a blue light. Now, we are bombarded with blue light all the time. The screen that I'm looking at, the screen on my computer, the screen on my tablet, the screen on my television, okay? All of those emit blue lights. The research shows that blue light exposure may increase the risk of macular degeneration. Didn't know that. The fact that blue light penetrates all the way to the retina, the inner lining of the back of the eye, is important because laboratory studies have shown that too much exposure to blue light can damage the light-sensitive cells in the retina. Blue light contributes to digital eye strain because short-wave blue light is high in energy and it scatters more easily than other visible light. It is not easily focused. So when you're looking at computer screens or other digital devices that emit significant amounts of blue light, this unfocused visual noise reduces contrast, and can contribute to digital eye strain. Now, you know, we've all had those days when we've been sitting at the computer or whatever, and our eyes just hurt because we've been so intense on our working. It may not be because we're so intense on our working. It may just be the blue light. Okay, so protect yourself. Research has shown that lenses that block blue lights of wavelength less than 450 nanometers, okay, this is blue violet light, it increases contrast significantly. Therefore, computer glasses that are yellow tinted may increase comfort when you are viewing digital devices for a long period of time. Now, I want to talk to you about relaxation and meditation. And this is what the red light therapy that we have brought into the clinic is going to do for you. And there are some statistics here. So again, I don't want to really sound like Charlie Brown's teacher, but I want to give you some data so that you know that we're doing our research here. So 11 patients who had blood work done before and after their relaxation sessions, right? And these sessions had this red light pulsating technology that we brought into the clinic. An average increase of beta endorphin levels of 25% and serotonin levels of 21% were registered. Now, why is this important? What comes from serotonin? Melatonin. So if you go higher in the food chain and do what you need in the food chain, you're going to make enough melatonin, okay? So we don't want to start at the bottom and supplement up. We want to start at the top and supplement down. So a 21% increase after, I think it was just 20 minutes of relaxation with these red lights. 30 patients had sessions in theta. Let me just kind of back up here and show you this. See this? These are all the different brain waves. So you've got delta, theta, alpha, beta, and then high beta or gamma, depending on which device you're using. We're using this with our heart rate variability monitor. You may have known that. You may not have known what that is. But anyway, we measure what's going on in your brain. So when we're looking here, the red is your alpha. Many times when people come in, their alpha waves are way, way up here, okay? That is the sign of a tired brain. Your brain is exhausted and your body is saying, let me get some rest because all I'm producing are these alpha waves. What you want to be producing are the green, the blue, and the pink waves over here, and those are your alpha, your beta, and your high gamma or your high beta waves. Why is that? Because that's where your creativity comes from, that's where your problem solving comes from. And so the reason we use the HRV with the red light therapy is so that we can get your brain functioning the way your brain can function so that you can get the sleep that you need, all right? So 30 patients had sessions in theta, which is at a 5 hertz frequency. They experience relaxation states of 50 to 100% after 5 minutes, as well as improved pain relief. So you don't have to commit hours and hours of having this red light therapy. Even just 5 minutes increases that relaxation by 100%. So this is important. Dr. Thomas Budinsky, and he wrote a paper called Biofeedback in the Twilight State of Consciousness, right? He works at the Biofeedback Institute in Denver. He says that programming a device that emits this red light therapy, right? It takes about 10 to 15 minutes for the patients to enter effortlessly into a state of hypnosis. The device has a calming effect on the nervous and anxious patients. In a majority of the cases, the patients feel relaxed and calm during a period of 3 to 4 days after the session. Now, I will just tell you, our sessions are anywhere between 8 minutes and 20 minutes that we have here in the clinic. And we have people that actually they just fall asleep right when they're in the middle of the session, which is fine. We don't really want you to be asleep, because I want you to be asleep when you're home and you're in your bed and that kind of thing. And the good thing is you don't have to come to the clinic to do that. Now, you do have to come to the clinic to do the red light part, but the meditation part, the binaural beats, all of the music, all of the things that go with this technology, you can actually get. I can send you, just raise your hand, tell me you want it, and we'll get a link out there to you. And it's a free 15-day trial period, and you can see if this technology will work for you. I will tell you, we had somebody in the clinic yesterday, and we did a 20-minute session, and I wanted to do another 20-minute session, and she couldn't stay awake for any of it. I mean, it just put her right into that relaxation state, and she was able to go to sleep. And this is what we want. When we have weight issues, when we have inflammatory issues, when we have anxiety and panic issues, all of that is because we are stuck in sympathetic dominance. And when we're stuck in sympathetic dominance, we can't relax and recover. If you have migraines, this is really, really important, because they did multiple studies on people with migraines. And they said 14 out of 15 patients with sustained headaches had complete relief after the treatment. I mean, that's just a great thing. So if you suffer from migraines, if you suffer from any of these things that we've talked about, this red light therapy could be your golden, it could be the golden egg for you. Certainly the technology that we can send you digitally is going to help get you into that state of parasympathetic dominance. When I did it the first time, I did not have the headset with the lights, just didn't. I just had the download. I was in a dark room, I was in my chair, my eyes were closed, I was listening, and I could just feel that shift. And it was a significant shift. It wasn't that I woke up, oh, I feel a little bit better. It was like, wow, there was a shift from sympathetic into parasympathetic. So, just going to throw that out there. We're going to be talking a little bit more about this, but if you would like to try this for 15 days of no charge, raise your hand. Let me know that you want it. I'll send it to you. It is the weekend. It is a long weekend. We'll remember those that have given the ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms. And so do what you can, not just to enjoy your family, although I want you to enjoy your family, but I also want you to remember why we celebrate this day, and to be grateful, to be thankful for those and their families who, as I said, gave the ultimate sacrifice so that we could live in a free country. Love you guys. See you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.